One of the most ubiquitous lessons in writing or acting is that if you need to grip the audience more, you're supposed to raise the stakes. Inflate whatever the protagonists have to lose. The bigger the risk, the more fear we have should we watch the characters lose it all. So it's like, look, Flipper, if you don't win the race, you won't get the trophy. And you'll die. And your family will die.
The dead.
Elder Scrolls 6 will never come out. And the world will be destroyed. Now, classically speaking, this usually works. Occasionally, a script does call for the extreme stakes and it feels appropriate, but over the decades, many filmmakers have outright lost control of the stakes. Even in cases where the epic stakes feel right, they are at a total loss for where to go next, because once you're at the max, how the hell do you go higher?
I call it the Star Killer!
Is that sort of like a Star Destroyer?
No. Remember the Death Star?
Yeah, okay, yep.
It's just like that. Times 100!
Every movie wants to top everything that came before until the stakes are so high and the elements at play are so extreme that literally half of the universe dies at the snap of fingers.
Take The Fast and the Furious.
This series started as an underground crime drama about street racing, but the latest entry involves a cybernetic terrorist force that creates a programmable supervirus that threatens to eradicate humanity. I am not making this shit up. They do this in part because it's riding on easy mode. It takes zero effort to establish motivation if you just say the world is ending because there's aliens or nukes or a virus or whatever. It's a one-size-fits-all lowest common denominator because pretty much everyone agrees the world should not be destroyed. It's the laziest way to get your character out of bed. But if you're like me, you've become numb to it when it feels like every script is saying, "The world is ending!" We're like, well, yeah, we're at the movies, aren't we? Duh.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
It's like they don't know how else to make us care anymore. Plots that would be better centered on heist scenarios or, say, a vigilante are inflated into these wannabe epics where somehow even the anti-heroes wind up saving the world.
Oh, fuck it. Let's go save the planet.
It's like we can't feel anything anymore unless they turn it up to 11.
Is this loud enough, guys?
Yeah, it's good.
I just want to make sure you can hear the movie.
It's fine.
Okay.
Some of the most compelling stories are actually the ones that, despite their epic landscapes, center on very intimate, small roles, where the quest itself doesn't involve any existential threat to humanity. You'll notice that none of Philip K. Dick's protagonists are out saving humanity. Blade Runner is probably the most revered sci-fi movie of all time, and its quest is ironically more compelling because of how mundane the film makes it out to be. Rick Deckard is tasked with tracking down 4 rogue androids, not because they threaten human existence as we know it, but because they're illegal on Earth and they're not recognized as human beings. As they're gunned down in the streets, the passers-by are quick to move on. That element of mundanity is precisely what enriches the effect. To the denizens of this world, the androids are just malfunctioning hardware, and Deckard might as well be tech support. The irony is that these trivial proportions strike at the heart of big questions. What's the real benchmark for human? What qualities or elements produce human rights, and if those are replicated, do we have a responsibility to protect them? The intimacy of the plot lets our minds wander down these depthless rabbit holes without being fixated on some foreboding apocalyptic force. The same director, Ridley Scott, also created Alien, a series that over the years has just been twisted and stretched into what feels like a completely different animal. The first film is just an encounter with what appears to be an indigenous parasite. The concept is simple, but the effect is really seated between the thick silence and colossal emptiness of deep space. The real object of fear is the uncharted and unknown. The quest is not to defend Earth, it's simply for a blue-collar crew to survive this new breed of natural danger. It's still life or death, but we're talking a dozen, not billions, not the human race. But somewhere along the line, Ridley Scott decided he wanted to make theological sci-fi, jam-packed with mythological allusions and ideas of a biblical scale. which could be great, but rather than devising a new IP for this vision, he decided he would completely remold the Alien franchise to fit it. So he recenters the series on a race of quasi-gods who created humans and put life on Earth. He virtually retconned the entire nature of the alien, rewriting it to be a god bioweapon that, what do you know, imminently threatens the human race. And for that matter, the alien is almost never seen on screen. I don't even know why it's in the title. This may come as a surprise, but I actually like these movies. It's just there's no denying the loss of Alien's original identity to the rising stakes. We've seen franchises go this way and recover, and I'd love to see Alien get back to its roots on film the way it did so gracefully in gaming with Alien Isolation, but that's another video. How the fuck do I wrap this up? Whatever they may have taught you in school, sometimes raising the stakes can be more numbing than gripping. There are other stories to tell apart from humanity is dying, humanity is saved. That story has its place, but it's completely robbed of its value when the market is brimming with its likeness. Maybe Venom shouldn't be saving the world, or Harley Quinn for that matter. There are other ways to grip the audience. There are other ways to make us care. As I record this, the stage is set for Joker to break this trend in about a week. Here's hoping it does. Keep in mind, these are just one guy's opinions. Even the movies I rag on the hardest are still worth checking out, especially if you haven't seen them. You really should, so you can form your own opinions about them.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.